Well, there's a fast-growing nationwide movement connecting dads to their families in a way like never before. It's called Letters from Dad, and it's sweeping the nation. I ran into this through this book called Letters from Dad. A friend of mine named Steve Baker gave it to me when I was down in Houston, Texas doing an event, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And a lot of people hand me books when I'm doing events. Everybody wants to get on the show. Everybody's trying to pitch something or hawk something. And honestly, most of the time I just toss the book. I'm sorry, but I do. And but occasionally someone, like a guy I respect, hands me something. He says, "You must read this. Do not toss it." So I opened it up on the plane, started reading it, and I got to tell you, I'm a big baby. I cry at movies and I cry with good books, and big tears are running down my face. I came home and decided I had to do this for my family, to write letters to my family. And then I got in touch with the author of the book, Greg Vaughn. We became, of course, fast friends, and so many years later now, the story culminates with Greg getting to be here on the show. He's the founder of a whole movement and the writer of this book, the author of this book, Letters from Dad. Greg, welcome, man.
What a delight to be with you, Dave Ramsey.
Good to have you, man. So good to have you.
What a nice intro. Thank you for doing that.
Well, it's the truth. It's what happened. You know that. I called you at the time, and you connected me up, and I think it's valuable to start back at the beginning of this story with this old, fabulous, beat-up tackle box.
We all have stories.
We do.
Your story was
and you got a great prop to go with it.
Yeah,
so.
Your story was going broke. Mine was a tackle box. Dave, I'm a baby boomer. There's just 72 million of us out there in this world, and most of us never heard the word, "Son, I love you. Sweetheart, you're a treasure." And that was kind of my story when I lost my dad to Alzheimer's. It's a terrible disease. All I had left with my dad was this old relic. And I was cleaning my garage, and I remember picking it up and saying, "I'm going to toss it in the Dempsey dumpster." And when I did, a strange thing happened. I heard a voice, not a loud voice that you would have heard, but in my spirit. And it said, "Open the box." So Dave, I had to pry it open. You can see we were actually pried it open. And when I did, I was looking at the relics of my dad's life. I knew he loved me, he just couldn't say it, and all I had was this box. And I remember picking it up and just seeing the lip chap and just stuff. But that's what got me. Dave, it was the old lures. I remember seeing my dad head off to go fishing and often thinking, boy, I wish I could go with him. So I tossed them in the box, and I said to God, I'm really angry. I'm angry at my dad. That's dumb, because he's dead, and I think I was angry at God. Then there came another moment in this story where the question came to me, and it went like this. "Hey, big shot, you're out here in your garage, mad at your world. Here's a question for you. It's on the front of my book. If you were to die today out here in the garage, what would your wife and 7 children, what would they hold in their hands tomorrow that would let them know that they were the treasures of your life?" Took my breath away. And somehow in that moment, I knew that it had to do something with letter writing, the written word. I'm a Christian, and I know what that means to me to read the Bible and written word. But I did what every guy does that gets stuck. When you get stuck, you call people, right? I called 12 of my buddies, and I asked them these questions. I said, "Do you have a letter of love and blessing from your father? Cards don't count. P.S. I love you's on a card that Mom bought doesn't count." Every one of those men said, "No, I don't." I said, "Have you written such a letter to your children?" "No." "Don't you think we should?" And that was it, Dave. That was the beginning of Letters from Dad.
So you guys got together?
We did.
Because I got to tell you, I sat down to do this. As a matter of fact, I was talking to one of my guys. You spoke to my team here in the office this morning, and I was talking to one of my leaders after that, and he said, "This feels like a term paper. I know that it's due. I don't want to do it, and I also know when I sit down and do it, it's not going to be nearly as hard as it feels like right now it's going to be." And did you guys experience that when you first sat down to do this?
This is a keep it simple, stupid kind of deal for guys. These 12 guys went on an adventure. We wrote 4 letters. We wrote a blessing letter to our wives, to our children, a tribute letter to our parents, a thank you letter to our parents, and we did write a hard one. It was the final letter of our life that no one reads till we leave the earth here. But in that process, Dave, I'm in the film business. I've done a lot of marriage enrichment stuff, but I've never seen anything like this. The way it turned relationships inside out. We just heard from Blake, your head of your programming here, about how he gave the treasure box like you did. And the response he had was amazing. So it went from 12 guys. The next semester it was 130, and then 350, and then 700 in Dallas. And then the book came, and it's growing. We're 1,500 churches now. And people like you are getting the book and hearing the story and saying, hey, let's do this at our church. So we bump into you guys all the time in churches, and we're honored to be there with you at Financial Peace.
Thanks. So let's stop a second.
Yeah.
I'm watching this at home right now, and I'm hearing this guy who got a tackle box, and he says, okay, I need to leave something, a letter to my children. What is a letter of blessing? What did you write? What do you say?
What do you say? There are two things that our kids need to hear. Number one, that we love them and that we're proud of them. The essence of a letter from Dad is that. It's a simple letter. It's one page, but it has as its main purpose to communicate our unconditional love and blessing to our kids. We have letters like the I am blessed because. We list 12 reasons why we're thankful and blessed to have them as our children and our wives. We have a letter called the I remember when letter. I've listed 25 pivotal moments in the life of a father. The first time you heard these words from Sharon, sweet, you're going to be a father. Do you remember that? And we list those. They're short, two-sentence things about many different memories of life. And you just put them out there and you deliver them in a special way. Take your children to dinner, take your wife to dinner. Have a Valentine's challenge. Get the treasure box that you did. Write a letter. Don't spend it on candy and lingerie and stuff like that, but give your heart to those you love, Dave.
So it's just a letter saying, you're awesome, you're mine, and here's why. And it's not any more difficult than that. It's just, but I'll tell you, again, having done this, and I'm kind of a sappy dude, I'll give you that, but having done this and delivering that as a Christmas present, I think I did it 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. Every one of us, and then I had to sit and read it to them.
Wow,
that was part of the deal.
Very important.
No, we just cried, man.
Very
It was just
important.
like a bunch of babies in there. It was like watching Marley and me. You know, we were in a pile. It was awful. And but the impact of saying out loud and on paper that you're really proud of somebody for this or that in your family leaves a legacy. Because I talk on this show all the time about leaving a legacy. Change your family tree. Do some things with your finances and your wealth building to where you have a completely different life for your kids. But if that's all you do, all you leave them is rich and stupid.
That's right. Well, what we find, like you guys here at your ministry, is you need some tools. You just don't tell people, get out of debt. You need some resources, some tools. So what we've done in Letters from Dad is we put a beautiful packet together. It's got even things like sample letters from guys, for guys. How about that? And we have the lost art of letter writing. We have beautiful envelope, letterhead, and stationery. And then we put men in these little accountability teams. There's these legacy groups. And so in this adventure, they go a little bit scared, a little bit nervous.
That's intimidating, dude.
Intimidating. But what happens is when
You feel incompetent.
Oh, we all do.
I'm a writer of best-selling books, and I sit down to write a letter to my kid or my wife telling them how great they are, and I felt like a doofus.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? It really is.
Well, we stupid-proof that. We make it easy. and it's not like we're writing a best-selling book here. We're just writing our love. It's like when I had all my kids. We poured a big driveway, and we all went out and put our hands in the concrete and our names, and we dated it. A letter from Dad is that. It simply unlocks a man's heart and helps him say the things he's always wanted to say, but just didn't know how. And we put it in writing, Dave.
Now, you've had 1,500 churches teach a course and have these legacy accountability groups how to do this. So tens of thousands of men across America have been through this process. You've got to have just some great stories. Tell me a couple of them.
Well, Letters from Dad does many things, but it reunites brokenness. One story I'll never forget, a guy says, I'm on my second marriage, and if Letters from Dad doesn't work, that'll be all. I'm living upstairs, she's living downstairs. And he wrote his kids the letter and gave them the box, gave his wife the letter. She wouldn't read it. She wouldn't open the box. But after about 6 months of just learning to bless, she loosened her grip on anger. I saw him not long ago. He said, it's been the greatest year of my marriage. I stood on the podium last week in Holland, Michigan, where a man came to stage with his 4 kids and their mates and grandkids, and they were all there like a big tribe, Dave. And he told how Letters from Dad had helped him do that, tangibly, physically bless his family. He traveled to 2 different states to deliver the treasure box and the letters.
Oh, wait a minute, treasure box. You've mentioned that 2 or 3 times. What's
Well, I learned this. Without a treasure box, we're going to share and lose our treasures. These letters that we write, the concept is this: to Sharon or your kids, sweetheart, in the first letter, the one thing I learned is you need a place to store your treasures, and Dad wanted to give that. It's a beautiful mahogany box, felt line. It's got a brass plate we engraved for you. It has a place for a photograph. So you put your favorite photo of you and your children, and then there's a bit of a ceremony. Sweetheart, I know that in life, you're probably going to be married someday, probably have children. You'll get cards like we give to Mom. And your dad wanted to give you this treasure box. And throughout life, he's going to be writing you from time to time. And it's my prayer that you will honor me as I write you these letters and store them in your treasure box with the rest of your treasures, so that long after I'm gone, there'll be a safe place for you to read of my love.
You know, it's the junk box in a sense, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I've got a different one that's got the old tassel from your high school graduation, and you throw things like that. You have this collection of little items, almost mementos through your life that can go in there as well, but the letters go in the box as well.
Exactly.
And so it gives a place to store that, and that's what you're referring to. All right, tell us what's going on in for Valentine's. How can we implement this? This is a good Valentine's show.
We'll call this the Dave Ramsey Challenge. Don't be spending any money on junk like negligees or chocolates or lots of fancy food. How about taking our advice, what you did, writing the letters and delivering it? And you're going to find that those are that's just not money wasted. It's money wasted to buy that stuff, but they're treasures that'll last a lifetime. You'll see tears of joy and excitement. So this Valentine's, guys and gals, write a letter of blessing and encouragement to those you love.
Doesn't have to just be dads writing.
No, absolutely not. The blessing letters goes both ways. We've just launched the women's ministry side of it. It's called Blessings from the Heart, A Woman's Legacy. And we're coming out with the youth version of it. So these concepts are universal and they're life-changing.
You know, it's amazing just what happens when someone you care about says something nice to you.
Yeah.
It's not any harder than that. And this is a way to make it a little bit more permanent and more thoughtful and more intentional. Very, very good stuff, sir.
Thanks, Dave.
I appreciate you joining us. The website is lettersfromdad.com, and the book is an absolute must-read. You can buy it at a discounted price with free shipping right now on our website at daveramsey.com. I got to tell you, it worked in my house. You do whatever you want to do, but it worked in my house, and I don't know how you can mess up telling somebody that you love them. It's part of leaving a legacy. And yes, this is a financial thing, right here in the middle of the Fox Business Network. Go figure. Lots more of your calls and emails coming right up. Plus, we'll reveal this week's plasectomy. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Dave Ramsey Show on the Fox Business Network.